Hey guys, how's it going? I'm Sydney from PhoneDog.com and welcome to PhoneDog Live. How'd you like that little intro I just did? I know, it's pretty awesome. Our budget just keeps getting bigger and bigger. It's amazing. Welcome to Friday edition of PhoneDog Live as opposed to the Wednesday edition. I don't know. It's Friday. Cut me some slack. We're live. Sorry about my monitor back there not having anything on it. It usually does, just to kind of keep it a little more interesting. In case you don't want to look at me, you can look at the picture back there. However, I don't know. I don't even want to talk about that because it's been an all-day thing. So basically, there's nothing back there, but it's okay. You have me. Yay! Okay. So today we have kind of like a lot of little bitty topics. And by the way, I'm on Ustream. I'm also on Facebook. So if you're on Facebook, I'll be seeing those comments. Also, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can check out the description below the video because we're going to have a timeline there. So you can skip around, or if there's just one particular topic you want to hear about, you can just skip to that. So be sure and check out the timeline in the description. But anyway, yeah, we're on Ustream. So, yeah, like I was saying, we have like a lot of little bitty topics. There were so many device leaks this week, and I didn't even realize it until I started, really compiling, all of my information like I do every Friday to get ready for the show. And I usually just go through like every single article that we've published in the past week and pick the ones that, either the most popular or just, the biggest news stories. And yeah, I mean, I didn't realize how many leaks there were this week and, going through last weekend. But there were a lot. So, we have leaked devices from RIM, BlackBerry, Samsung, HTC, LG, some iPad 3 rumors, Asus, a new launch date for the Droid 4, and just all kinds of leaked dates or leaked pictures and information. So we're gonna mostly be talking about that, and then yeah, that's pretty much it. It's just all leaks. There's not even like huge news stories. It's just leaks. So I'm glad everyone could be here. Feel free to join the conversation on Ustream as well as YouTube. I read all those comments. I try to respond to them. I know I don't respond to all of them, but I do at least read them. So I'm doing half of the work, right? So let's get started with the BlackBerry London. This is a device that we had heard about before. And I think we had, seen some kind of either, leaked pictures or maybe a couple of renders. But then, we didn't really hear about it for a while. It just kind of fell off the face of the earth. And, we heard that a couple of other devices that RIM was planning on releasing got canceled. And so, we thought maybe, maybe it was going that way, that it was just going to be canceled. But we did get some new information about the BlackBerry London as well as a picture. And so I'll show you guys a picture. Hopefully Ustream will allow me to show pictures. I know last time I tried to do this and it just did not work. So let's see if we can show you guys the BlackBerry London. Here it is. Okay, so we got this leaked picture of the BlackBerry London. As you can see, it looks very sleek, very modern, not really anything like a BlackBerry at all. It looks like, any other Android phone or, or the iPhone, but it looks great, not a bad thing. I think the display looks great, the UI, from what we can see of it, it looks great, and just overall, a very sleek and modern looking device. So we also, along with this leaked picture, we also got some information on some of the specs and possibly, where it's going to end up in terms of carriers. So apparently RIM is testing both Qualcomm and TI-made 1.5 gigahertz dual-core processors for this model. So it could be a Texas Instruments processor, it could be a Qualcomm processor. Both of those are great processors. I know, among the at least, the Android community or the developer community, I know the Exynos processor is usually the one that gets the best reviews. But, Qualcomm still makes some good chips, and then, TIO map processors have been, pretty decent. But will supposedly, the London will supposedly have a 1.5 gigahertz dual core processor, and then, of course, it will have BlackBerry 10, which is sort of like the renamed BBX, which is what we saw on the playbook, with like a couple of updates and, been modified and then made for the phone, really. So, kind of like what you see on the playbook, but, with a couple of more added updates and design elements. And we don't exactly know when this phone is going to be coming, although we've heard that it could be coming in September or October of this year, which is a long ways away, especially since whenever we first heard about this device, it was, I think, like October of last year or something. So it was like when we first heard about it, it was a year away, and it was just, usually we're so used to like Android phones, we hear about it, and then like maybe 3 months later, we see it and it's released, or maybe a little bit longer. But a year was a long time, and so, we don't have any updates as to, if it's coming sooner or if it's still set for September or October. Crackberry, who reported on this, did say that the London will be headed for the UK, and then there will also be a version for AT&T, Sprint, and Verizon, which is pretty typical. Usually RIM is very good about getting their devices on all the carriers. That's one of the frustrations that some Android users have, or for a long time the iPhone users had. It was available on like one carrier, but RIM has always been pretty good about, you have the Bold on pretty much every carrier. The Torch, the new Torch is on a couple of carriers. The Curve is on most carriers, including some prepaid carriers. So it seems like they're going to do the same thing with the London, which is a good thing, and I think it's going to be great. We talked for a long time about how RIM needs to step it up. They're falling behind. The Bold 9900 is a great phone, but it's still it's a great phone for a BlackBerry, not really a great phone compared to everything else that's on the market, not to mention the terrible pricing. So, we kept talking about how they need to have, just really grow with the times, have a full touchscreen device with a modern UI, a modern design. You don't have to have a physical keyboard. And so we've talked about this for a long time, and the London is great because it's basically proof that they understand that, they recognize that, and they're starting to do that. Now, the only problem is, like I said, it's not coming until September, October. At least that's the rumor. At this point, 9 to 10 months away, or actually, it's February now, so 8 to 9 months away, which is, in cell phone time, that's a long time. We have, we just heard about some Android devices that were released, not even 8 months ago, and they're already reaching end of life status. And so, in the time that it would take for RIM to release the London, we could see, dozens, if not 100, but, at least dozens of Android phones. We're going to see the new iPhone. Not only that, but how much is technology going to progress? Right now, a phone, a BlackBerry device with a 1.5 gigahertz dual core processor sounds great. RIM, release that right now. You've got an awesome phone. It's going to be able to compete. But, we're already seeing quad core processors in tablets. It's only a matter of time before we're starting to see those in phones. The estimate is, if not by early this year, then at least by, October, November of this year. And so, which is right about when the time when the London is going to be released. So it's like they're on time right now, but by the time they release it, as good as it is, it's going to be behind. Now, it's still going to be a great phone. A dual-core processor in a phone is awesome. And really, Android is the only operating system that really needs a dual-core processor. If you look at the iPhone, Windows Phone, even BlackBerry, WebOS, those operating systems are efficient, and even with a single-core processor, they performed very well. So, even if the London is released with a dual-core processor and by that time we have quad-core processors. It's still going to be a great phone, and if you're a BlackBerry fan, you're going to love it. And even, we would, we who bloggers, recommending phones, I would probably feel comfortable recommending it because it is going to be a good phone. But just, in terms of sales, how many are they actually going to sell? Can it sell? Can it actually compete? We'll have to wait and see. Taylor wrote an article, he said, I would buy a BlackBerry London if it were available today. And that's really the bottom line. I mean, yeah, it's going to be an awesome phone, so far as we can tell from the pictures and from the, limited stat sheet that we have. It is going to be a great phone, but, right now is when people would really want it, not... 8 months from now, it might be a completely different story. So, but anyway, that's the London. Hopefully BlackBerry or RIM plans on releasing something before the London, because that's 8 months from now, and they really need to figure out some way to pick it up. They have a new CEO, so maybe he'll push to get this done a lot more quickly. Let's move on to we have a lot of Samsung news. We have rumors of a new Galaxy Tab, a new Epic 2, the Galaxy S3, and then of course everyone's heard about the SuperBowl ad, which everyone's speculating what's the ad going to be about? I mean, it's supposed to be all revolutionary. In fact, I think I have the tweets that Samsung sent out. They sent out 2 tweets. So you can see we're telling our fans first, next Sunday we launch a device so revolutionary, only an ad in America's biggest game can do it justice, of course that being the Super Bowl. And then the next tweet, to make our first ever SuperBowl ad as noteworthy as the Galaxy Note itself, it will be one of the longest in the game. Look for it in the 4th quarter of the game. So, revolutionary, huge. It's going to be a full 60-second ad, which means it's going to cost Samsung about $6 million. So everyone's trying to figure out, what they're going to announce. And I know a lot of people has the Galaxy Note. Not only did Samsung mention the Galaxy Note in the tweet, but also the day of the Super Bowl is actually when pre-orders for the Galaxy Note start shipping out. So it's very likely that the commercial is simply for the Galaxy Note. And I think, that would make sense because the Galaxy Note is pretty revolutionary. I mean, it's a tablet phone flip thing. But I don't know. I mean, to me, I kind of think that it's not exactly that. I mean, for one thing, we already know about the Galaxy Note. I mean, yeah, US customers may not, but technically it's already been announced on AT&T. So this wouldn't really be like a revealing commercial. It would be basically telling us something that we already know. And I don't think that's worth $6 million. Not only that, but to me, just the fact that they mentioned the Galaxy Note in the tweet, I mean, if they were trying to keep it a secret, I mean, that's the dumbest thing to say. I think that just made it too obvious that, I don't know, I think it's not the Galaxy Note. And those are really the only 2 things I'm going on. One, we already know about the Galaxy Note. It's already been made official for AT&T. And, they mentioned the Galaxy Note in the tweet, and the tweet said that they were going to reveal it first to U.S. customers during the Super Bowl. So, if the commercial is to reveal it, why would you actually reveal it in the tweet? That doesn't really make sense to me. So, I kind of think that it's not going to be the Galaxy Note, but, I could be wrong. It's a possibility, but I'm excited. Of course, we always enjoy watching the commercials, so I'm sure this is going to be just as awesome. And Samsung's commercials lately kind of like attacking the iPad or just, the iPhone really. They've been pretty cool. So, they've been pretty funny, I think. I don't know, Apple fanboys may not like them as much, but I think they've been pretty awesome. So on that note, okay, so if the commercial isn't about the Galaxy Note, then, what else could it possibly be about? We don't really know of anything else that Samsung is planning on announcing, which kind of brings me to the other rumors that we have about Samsung. We've heard of a new Galaxy Tab possibly being announced at MWC, Mobile World Congress in Barcelona. This is a report that supposedly they will introduce a new Galaxy Tab that packs a 2 gigahertz dual-core Exynos processor, as well as a display that's larger than 10 inches, which to me, 10 inches kind of seems like the limit, you know? I mean, I personally don't even, like, I have an Android tablet, well, I have the Kindle Fire, and it's a 7-inch display, and for me, that's really the sweet spot, 7 to 8 inches. 9 inches, 10 inches just always seem too big for a tablet for me. But, larger than 10 inches, I don't really know if anyone would actually go for that. We've seen some tablets that were larger than 10 inches, but at least the ones that I can remember, they were sort of like, I remember seeing one, I think it was, I don't remember who made it, but it was called the Yoga, I think, and it was sort of like a half tablet, half actually a laptop, so it ran Windows, So, certainly they're not going to do that because Samsung is, this is probably going to, the Galaxy Tab is Android. So, I don't know, just a straight up Android tablet that's larger than 10 inches, I don't know, to me it seems like, too large. But again, I mean, that's just me. I'm 1 in 7 billion people, so somebody's going to like it. So supposedly this display that's larger than 10 inches will pack a resolution of 2560 by 1600, which is extremely, I mean, the pixel density is going to be, unbelievable, even if it's, whatever, 11 or 12 inches. Of course, larger than 10 inches could be like 10.5 inches, so it's, But even if it is like 11 or 12 inches, with that resolution, pixel density is going to be stunning, and I would expect just a beautiful display. It will be running Ice Cream Sandwich, and supposedly the site that reported on this has actually had some hands-on time with this tablet and took some pictures, but he wasn't allowed to publish the pictures. So supposedly it's like really real, not just somebody heard about it, but they've actually seen it. So I don't know, a new Galaxy Tab, but a 2 gigahertz dual-core Exynos processor too. That'd be pretty cool. So maybe we'll hear about that in the SuperBowl ad. I don't know, it's a possibility. Next, another rumor from Samsung is the Epic 2. We heard about this phone way back in June of last year, back when we were hearing about the Galaxy S2 and which carriers it was going to go to. If you remember the original Galaxy S, the Sprint version, the Epic, had a physical keyboard, but the Galaxy S2, the Epic 4G Touch, or the Epic Touch 4G, it doesn't have a physical keyboard. So the idea is that the Epic 2 will be, basically, similar to the original Galaxy S with kind of some updated specs, and then it will also have a physical keyboard. The rumored specs are a 4-inch display, a 1.2 gigahertz single-core processor, an 8-megapixel camera, and obviously a QWERTY keyboard. So it's not quite the Galaxy S2 Epic with a keyboard. It's more like, I don't know if you remember the Samsung Stratosphere, which was, it came out, right in between the Galaxy S and a little bit before or around the same release date of the Galaxy S2, and it's a Galaxy S device, and it has better specs than the Galaxy S, but not quite the Galaxy S2's specs. So it's sort of like in the middle there, and that went to Verizon. So the Epic 2 kind of seems like the same thing. It's a little bit better than the Galaxy S, but it's not quite the Galaxy S2, with that single-core processor and 4-inch display, but still probably going to be an amazing device. Probably will be a Super AMOLED Plus display, I'm guessing. Probably will be either WiMAX or LTE. Sprint is building out its 4G network. So that's the rumor about that. I doubt that I doubt that's the phone that Samsung is announcing during their Super Bowl commercial. If you missed it earlier, we were talking about Samsung's Super Bowl commercial, and it's supposedly going to release some amazing revolutionary device. And obviously, everyone is thinking it's going to be the Galaxy Note, just because the pre-orders start shipping on that date. They mentioned the Galaxy Note when they were tweeting about it. I personally don't think that it's going to be the Galaxy Note. So I think, it might be maybe this new Galaxy Tab that we just talked about, and this is my theory, and I am probably going to be totally wrong about this. I don't know if you guys remember last year, February, it was, or no, it wasn't even February, it was before that. So not this past holiday season, but the like September, October before that, so back in like 2010, we were starting to hear rumors that the iPhone was going to come to either Sprint or Verizon or T-Mobile, or just somewhere other than AT&T. And my guess, even though everyone was saying it was coming to Verizon, my guess is that it was going to go to T-Mobile. And I had no reasoning for that at all. I had nothing to back it up. It was just, a gut feeling. And so history has shown that not only did it not go to T-Mobile, it's gone to every other carrier besides T-Mobile. So not only was I wrong, I was like completely and entirely wrong in every single way possible. So, don't take my theories as, anything, just take them with a grain of salt. But that being said, my theory is that it's going to be the Galaxy S3. Mostly because, you want to talk about revolution. The Galaxy S2 is already, like, freaking awesome. And the Galaxy S3 would just make it, even more awesome. Now, we did hear that Samsung will not debut the Galaxy S3 at Mobile World Congress. They will be saving it for a separate, event by Samsung. It will be, Samsung only. They'll have their own special event to announce the Galaxy S3. And it will supposedly be held in the first half of this year. So sometime between now and June, I guess, which is a long time. But, so that's what we've heard. So, is it likely that we'll see the Galaxy S3 at or during Samsung's Super Bowl commercial, considering, that information straight from Samsung? Probably not, but I don't know. I just don't think it's going to be the Note. I think that's so obvious that it's not even cool. Like I said, we already know about the Galaxy Note. It's already been made official for AT&T. I don't see why they would spend $6 million to say something that they've already said. Now, to $6 million simply to advertise it, yeah, that's great, good idea, Samsung, but not to reveal it, just to, have a commercial to tell people about it, I think would be fine, but this is like a whole secretive thing of what they're going to reveal, and the Note has already been revealed. We know everything about it. We have reviews on it. It's on the internet, so anyway, that's Samsung's announcements. Let's move on to, did I have anything? I want to see if I had any pictures, because I like pictures. I think I had a picture of the Epic 2, but it's not a very good picture at all. So let's move on to the HTC Ville or VA or Ville or VA, I don't know. It's VILLE. You guys already know the phone that I'm talking about, but this is a phone that we heard about before. We already kind of know a lot about it. Just a quick rundown of the spec sheet. 4.3-inch QHD Super AMOLED display, 1.5 GHz dual-core Snapdragon S4 processor, 8-megapixel camera, Beats audio, Android 4.0 with Sense 4.0, and it's going to be like super thin. So, we've already heard about this phone, but we hadn't really seen a lot of pictures. But there was a video recently posted on YouTube that gave us a look at the phone in action. So it was Android 4.0 on the phone with Sense 4.0, and this was always the thing that everyone was curious about because, right now we haven't seen any phones, any ice cream sandwich phones with carrier overlays. There haven't been any released yet, but we haven't really seen any with carrier overlays. And of course, we know HTC Sense is a very heavy and intense UI. So everyone was kind of curious. Well, this video gave us a terrific look at it. Now, the video has since been set to private. So, I don't know, there might be other copies of it on YouTube, but the original video is at least private for now. Thankfully, I happened to watch it before it was set to private. And we also got some screenshots that I'll show you guys. So if we go here, you can see this is a picture of, obviously on the right you have the side of the phone, the back of it, But on the left there, you get a pretty good look at the home screen. So you have a clock there, and I'm gonna be honest, that clock, it looks like a clock from Beautiful Widgets, which I don't know. I mean, if you guys use that app, then you know what I'm talking about. It looks exactly like a widget from that app. So I'm kind of thinking that's what it is, but it's also a possibility that this is the new Sense clock. But you can see the dock there at the bottom has been changed a little bit. It's kind of more, square and simple, just with the icons. So that's, it doesn't really look different from other versions of Android, and it doesn't really look like Ice Cream Sandwich at all. I mean, if you look at it, I mean, I would not know this was Ice Cream Sandwich if I looked at it, because there's no difference except for the dock at the bottom, and even then, it's barely different. Here's another picture from the video, but this is just, the phone. You can't really see anything on the home screen. So, but in other parts of the video, it went to other parts of the phone, like the app drawer, which is, just like Ice Cream Sandwich, so it, scrolls left to right. You do have access to the widgets, in this drawer. He also went to the menu and did some scrolling and went through a couple of the menu options. The menu, again, is organized. It doesn't really look like Ice Cream Sandwich. I think the background was white. So it's a very light colored UI, but the menu is similar. The settings menu is similar in that, like, the Wi-Fi settings and all of those are grouped up at the top. They're not like in their own separate section. So that, similar to Ice Cream Sandwich or stock Ice Cream Sandwich. The thing that bothered me was the scrolling, because whenever you scroll up and down, at least, the way that it was in the video, is that like each listing in the list was a separate sort of like section rectangle, and when you scrolled, they all kind of like flipped a little bit, like panels. So they all kind of flipped out a little bit and kind of like disconnected each one. To me, it reminded me of like old Samsung feature phones. They had that feature where when you scroll up, it was kind of like elastic scrolling, and they would all kind of like separate from each other. It was a lot like that, and I may not be explaining it very well, and you may be, like completely lost to what I'm talking about, but basically, to me, it looked cheap, and I didn't really like it at all. It looked just way too cartoonish, like one of those effects that's just really cheesy. But it's a small thing. It's just the scrolling while you're in the settings menu. But it was interesting. It's a shame the video is private. If you can find one on YouTube, it gives a pretty good look at HTC Sense 4.0 with Android 4.0. And like I said, it's a very heavy UI. Like I said, looking at the home screen, I would not know it was Ice Cream Sandwich if the video didn't say, because it doesn't look like it at all. The dock, obviously the app drawer is set up the same way, but still a very heavy custom skin. So if you like that, then great. Or if you like HTC Sense, then great. From what I saw, HTC Sense 4.0 doesn't look anything like previous versions of HTC Sense. Like, everything was different visually. So anyway, that's that. The video is set to private, but there's a couple of pictures that you might be able to find. Next is some iPad 3 rumors. And this report is from Boy Genius Report. And I'm not entirely sure if I believe this report, not necessarily because of what it says, but just because of their proof. So basically, they connected the iPad. Hold on, let me see. Okay, yeah, they connected the iPad to a debug tool known as iBot, and in the code was a reference to a device called J1, which is believed to be one version of the iPad 3, and then another device called J2, which is supposed to be a second variant of the iPad 3. Supposedly one of them being the Wi-Fi version and the CDMA, GSM, or LTE version if it has it. So that's what they found in the code. But in the code, they also found a reference to a processor with the model number S5L 8945X, whatever crap, that may be the new A6 quad-core chip. So we're thinking, okay, it's going to have a quad-core chip, but to me, this evidence is not really evidence at all. I mean, so you found references to a new processor that you don't recognize, which could either be an updated A5 processor, or it could be a new A6 chip. I mean, it could be the new A6 chip, even though, there's no proof in the code at all. But say it is a new A6 chip, there's still not, really a whole lot of proof that, this is the actual chip that is a quad-core chip. So, I don't know, to me, the evidence doesn't really seem as solid as, I would like to. I mean, obviously there's a possibility, we've heard before, that the iPad 3 will have LTE support. There's a lot of tablets, the Asus Transformer Prime and other tablets are coming out with a quad-core processor, so obviously it's completely possible for the iPad 3 to also have a quad-core processor, but that's basically just my commentary on the rumor. I mean, there's the rumor. We've heard that the rumor is that it will have a quad-core chip. I don't necessarily know if I believe this evidence, but at the same time, I think just the idea of it having a quad-core processor is definitely a possibility. I just don't know if this is the proof that we would need. But, then again, I mean, we never know what Apple is going to do until someone gets on the stage and announces it. So, we'll just have to wait for the event. Hopefully it will be soon. Still no solid word on when the iPad 3 will be announced. But generally, probably early this year. I think the last rumor that I heard was February, sometime in February. I think like the 24th, which is, where's iPad 3? I know I have it. Oh, there it is. February 24th, which is Steve Jobs' birthday. So someone was saying that they were going to announce it on the 24th. We also recently heard that they could announce it in March. So that's also a possibility. But just going by past history, there's a good chance that it's going to be sometime early this year. We're just not entirely sure when. We got some more info about the Asus Padfone, which is it's the phone that also docks into a tablet and then works like a tablet, but the tablet is just a shell, it can't work by itself. Kind of like the Atrix with the laptop dock, but with a tablet dock. And this will, according to Asus, I always put the emphasis on Asus, but I think it's Asus. Anyway, according to Asus, I think I did it again. I can't get... Okay, anyway. It will be announced at Mobile World Congress. Just a quick recap. We don't really know a whole lot, but our guess is that the phone will have somewhere near a 4.3-inch display, and the tablet will have a 10-inch display. They will be shipping with ice cream sandwich. So, pretty awesome. Asus has some, interesting concepts, and I had to admit, whenever I first heard about the Transformer, I was like, it's an interesting idea, but I just don't think people are going to go for that. But they did, and the Transformer Prime has been successful, at least as far as we know. It's been popular. And then the ePad slider, also kind of this interesting concept, but it actually, took off well. And so the Padfone to me seems like, I don't know if people will actually like that, but who knows? I mean, they may really like it, but look for that at Mobile World Congress. There's going to be tons of devices announced at Mobile World Congress. Very different from past years where it was CES, where really that's where we saw all of the big announcements, but now we're anticipating a lot of announcements at Mobile World Congress. The Droid 4 is tipped to be launching February 10th, according to a Verizon equipment guide. It will be coming February 10th, which is next Friday. And the price will be $199 with a 2-year contract. Full retail price will be $549. So not really any surprises there. I think $200. Yeah, $2. I wish it were $2. But no, $200 seems to be a pretty standard price for smartphones these days. So look for the Droid 4 February 10th, next Friday. One more quick leaked device, there were so many. I mean, I know it's just been like one right after the other. One more, the LG, I think it's the CX2, it was listed as the C2X, but I think it's actually the CX2, is rumored to be known as the 3D Max. We had heard about the CX2 a while ago, but now we're getting an updated name, so will now be called the LG 3D Max. Will supposedly be packing a 4.3-inch Nova display, so very bright and radiant. 1.2 gigahertz dual-core processor, two dual 5-megapixel cameras for the 3D, obviously, and 8 gigs of internal storage, and a body that measures below 10 millimeters thick, and this will again be at MWC Mobile World Congress in Barcelona. So 3D phones, I mean, I never got into the 3D thing, and I don't know if anybody ever did, but if you want another 3D phone, there is another one coming up. So let's move on to something besides leaked phones, and this is close to a leaked phone, but it's Windows Phone 8 Apollo details leak. So not quite a phone, but an operating system. But this is a big deal because it will supposedly be bringing a lot of updates to Windows Phone, which is gaining popularity. I know whenever Windows Phone was first announced and released, and we saw some Windows Phone devices on the site, just checking feedback of comments and what people had to say about it. Most everyone did not like it and just talked trash, even though they never used it. But it just said Windows sucks, Windows Mobile was a disaster, which it was, but this is a different OS. But now I'm seeing a lot more people actually stick up for the operating system, and there's still the people that will talk trash about it because people do that with Android and iOS, but there's a lot more people that actually use it and that like it. So it seems to be gaining popularity. Market share, it kind of depends on which study you refer to, but they are slowly gaining market share. So this is a report from PocketNow and WinSuperSite, who both claim to have details of Windows Phone 8. And one of them even supposedly saw a video with Windows Phone manager Joe Belfiore that discussed Windows Phone. So just a couple of the big updates. It will bring more hardware options that are not currently available for Windows Phone. And I'm talking about things like multi-core processors, new form factors, and 4 different screen resolution options. And so, right now, that's one of the biggest things that seems to be holding Windows Phone back, is that, yes, the operating system is great, it works well, but the hardware is just behind. Just bottom line, the hardware is behind Android and iOS. Single core processor, they work great, performance is smooth, but dual core processors are what sell. And so, right now the operating system just simply doesn't support a dual core processor. So there's not really a whole lot that manufacturers can do. There's really nothing they can do. So, Windows Phone 8 will bring support for multi-core processors. So hopefully we'll start seeing some dual-core processors in Windows Phone devices. Another thing is screen resolution. We have phones like, the HTC Titan 2 with, a 4.7-inch display and a resolution of 800 by 480 or whatever it is. And so it's like you have these large displays and they look good. Nokia's clear black technology or Samsung Super AMOLED displays, they look great, but the resolution, it just can't compete with the Retina display or other displays on Android phones. So that's another thing that Windows Phone 8 will bring, support for different screen resolution options, and then new form factors, which seems interesting. I mean, I think right now, like the Dell Venue, or the Dell Venue Pro, that had the slide-out physical keyboard. The Samsung Focus had the side-sliding physical keyboard. So aside from that, I'm not entirely sure what other form factors you would want in a smartphone, except for maybe like a flip you know, like it could flip open, sort of like, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I'm trying to think of like other form factors that they could use, but I don't know. I mean, I guess they'll come up with something. So along with that, which in itself is just great, dual core processors, higher resolution displays. I mean, that in itself will do wonders for Windows Phone. But also, it will have support for removable micro SD cards. Yay! And NFC support, which is massively popular right now. I was just kidding, that was sarcasm. But you know, when it does gain in popularity, it will have Windows Phone will support NFC. On the software side of things, Microsoft is expecting there to be 100,000 apps available in the Windows Phone marketplace by the time Windows Phone 8 launches, which might give us a little bit of an idea of when Windows Phone 8 will launch, because we currently have 60,000 apps in the marketplace. So, you know, 40,000 apps is, you know, considering that we went from 50,000 apps just a couple of months ago to now 60,000 apps. So it's growing rapidly. So getting to 100,000 apps should not take very long. Also, Skype, there will be Skype support. Now, we're not entirely sure if it will be directly integrated into the operating system or if it will just be an app. It's entirely possible for it to be integrated into the operating system since Microsoft bought Skype. So it could be, you know, integrated, but either way, it will either be that or an app. You know, regardless, you're going to have Skype. Which only makes sense. You know, like I said, Microsoft owns the company, so right now it's odd that there is no Skype app. It just doesn't make sense. And then what else? The camera app will supposedly be able to be skinned by manufacturers or overlaid with third-party viewfinders. So kind of interesting. You know, obviously Windows Phone, you know, manufacturers can't customize it at all. You know, HTC, you know, and Sam's, they're allowed to add like their little hub apps where it's, you know, has information within it. Nokia was allowed to add Nokia Drive and Nokia Maps, but other than that, and those are just apps. I mean, you can't skin it or customize it at all. So it's interesting to hear that they may allow the camera app to be customized. I mean, of all things, that seems like such a random thing, especially since now, like with Android phones, I mean, I've used a lot of Android phones that do have a custom skin, but, you know, of all the things that are customized, the camera app is not. Like, it will be, like, basically stock Android, and so, see, it's kind of interesting. That would be the one thing they would allow them to customize. The third-party viewfinders I can understand, because, you know, download an app, and, you know, it'll have, like, a filter or some sort of effect. Like, that I think is a great idea, but yeah, interesting for the camera to be skinned. There will also be a tool that will allow you to manage and reduce your cellular data usage, and a couple of other things like support for Windows 8, obviously. But anyway, that's you know what we've heard on Windows Phone 8. I'm excited. You know, you guys know I enjoy using Windows Phone. And I think it's great to have a third option, and so this is only going to help the operating system even more. One quick thing before we move on to the open Q&A, I do want to tell you guys about this that Aaron is doing, and I think you still have a chance to vote on this. I can't remember the exact time when voting stops, but Aaron will be doing another 30-day challenge. So you remember he did the BlackBerry challenge where he switched to the BlackBerry Bold 9900 for 30, or the 9930 actually, for 30 days, and, you know, did a couple of reports on it along the way of, you know, what he thought of it. Well, he's going to do that again, but this time you guys get to pick the device that he switches to for 30 days. So it has to be an AT&T device, and if you go to phonedog.com, there's an article and a link, and there's a poll, so you don't have to, like, you know, email him or anything. I mean, there's a poll you can just click on the phone and then submit it. But your options are the Galaxy Note, the Sensation XE, iPhone 4S, Galaxy S2, HTC Vivid, Galaxy S2 Skyrocket, or the HTC Titan. Last I checked, the Galaxy Note was winning by a wide margin. Personally, and obviously I have no say in this at all, but personally I want him to carry the HTC Titan because, you know, the Galaxy Note I think is interesting in the fact that it's a large device, and so I can understand, like, having him carry it and then see, like, is this actually practical or is it just too big? I mean, can I use it as a tablet and as a phone, or is it just, not good for either one of those usages? So I think in that sense, it would be interesting to do a 30-day challenge with the Galaxy Note. But even more, with a Titan, I talk about Windows Phone, how it's just not used very often. I would like to know if someone, who carries an iPhone or who carries an Android device could carry a Windows Phone and use it for 30 days and actually like it and appreciate it. So that was kind of what I wanted him to do, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what you guys vote on. I'm pretty sure the Galaxy Note is going to win, but and like I said, I think that'd be a good one too, because I've gone back and forth on what I think of the Galaxy Note, so I would like to see what Aaron thinks of it. I'm actually going to be doing a 30-day challenge as well, although you guys don't get to pick what I switch to. I'm going to be switching to the Torch 9810, which is something that I've thought about for a long time, because the Torch 9810, it has a large touchscreen, but it also has the famous BlackBerry keyboard. And then, BlackBerry 7, to me, it's starting to look really good. And I always like trying something new. It's why I switched to Windows Phone, and I ended up liking it. So I'm going to switch to BlackBerry for 30 days to the Torch and see if I like it. So I'll be keeping you guys updated on that. We're both going to be doing written content, and I'll primarily be doing video content, and I'll give you guys updates along the way. So keep your eyes out for that. But that is pretty much it. In the meantime, let's move on to the open Q&A, where you can ask me any question that you want to. I'm on Ustream, and I am also on Facebook. So if you're on Facebook and I've missed your comments. Okay, here's actually a comment from Facebook, so I'll answer this one right now. Kindly do let me know the best smartphone of HTC, which is coming in days to come, which can beat Samsung Galaxy series. An HTC phone that can beat the Galaxy S2. Let me see what we have. Hold on, I'm getting all organized here. The HTC Ville or VA or VIA, however you pronounce it, that one actually I think would be a good option. I talked about this earlier. It has a 4.3-inch QHD Super AMOLED display, 1.5 gigahertz dual-core processor. It's the new Snapdragon S4 processor. An 8-megapixel camera that captures full 1080p HD video. It will have Beats technology, and I'm guessing will come with the Beats earbuds. And then Android 4.0 with Sense 4.0. So I think that's probably one you can keep your eye out for. It will supposedly be announced at MWC in February. Phones that are out right now, I would say look at the HTC Resound. I think that's definitely a great option. But if you want to wait, then I'd say look for that one. Okay, while I'm here on Facebook, here's another one. How would you compare the Samsung Focus to the HTC Arrive? Which do you prefer? I'd have to look at the spec sheet for the HTC Arrive. It's been out for so long, I can't remember. To me, Samsung Focus, it has a physical keyboard, so if you need a physical keyboard or you just enjoy a physical keyboard, then it's probably a great option. The display also, I like Samsung's display, so definitely a great option, but the HTC Arrive also has a physical keyboard. HTC has, better build quality. So, really kind of just depends on which one you prefer in terms of, those aspects. Again, I'd have to look at the spec sheet because I can't remember them off the top of my head, but I'm sure you can do that and see which one is better. I hate saying you can do that, but honestly, I mean, you can look at the spec sheet and compare. If they're probably both pretty much identical, simply because Windows Phone, Microsoft has very strict policies on hardware requirements, and so they're, in terms of specs, they're both probably very identical. So you probably can't go wrong with either one. I don't have any moderators set. I should probably do that. Let's see. Do I know any of these people? I don't. I thought Stewie was here. Is Stewie not here? Or AJ? AJ. AJ is here, but he hasn't commented in a while. Okay. Anyway, okay. I'm sure I missed a bunch of questions. Oop, stream just jumped around. Hey, Sydney, do you know when T-Mobile will receive a Beats audio device? If not, how about other carriers? The HTC VA or VIA or whatever that I just mentioned, that will have Beats. We don't yet know which carrier that will be going to. But there's that. We've also heard about the HTC Zeta. Again, we don't know which carrier that's going to, but it will have Beats technology. Those are the two devices that we know of. But like I said, I don't know if they're coming to T-Mobile. Outside of the Resound right now, I don't know if T-Mobile is going to get a phone with Beats audio. Oh, AJ, they both left. Okay. Why do you think Windows Phone screen transitions look smoother than Android? It has to do with the way that it uses the processor as well as the graphics chip, the CPU and the GPU. It's just more efficient. They both work together, and so therefore, the transitions are smoother. I think for a long time, and maybe even now, due to the limited multitasking, excuse me, I know you guys don't like when I say multitasking, due to limited multitasking, that might be another reason why, but I think just on the hardware side of things, the way it uses the hardware is just more efficient. I'm on PhoneDog, but I don't see where to vote. What tab should I look under? It's on phonedog.com, and the article is called "Which Phone Should Aaron Rock?" And then if you click on that article, yeah, the poll is still there. Let me see. Right now, the Galaxy Note is winning with 36% of the votes, and the HTC Titan is in second place with 17%. So chances are the Galaxy Note is going to win. You have until 8 p.m. Eastern time to vote, so about 3 more hours. No. That would be 8 p.m. Central Time. So you have, if it's 5 here, that means it's 6 there, so you have 2 more hours. Okay. Sydney, will Windows Phone 8 bring NFC? Yes. How much is too much for a phone case? I really don't like phone cases personally. The cases or the skins or anything really. I think, to me, a big determining factor in which phone I choose is the looks. Although, and of course I like Samsung devices, so I may have, different preferences than other people. But, like, for example, the iPhone. I think the iPhone looks awesome. It's just some of the best hardware, and why would I want to cover that up? Or HTC devices, they have amazing hardware, just gorgeous. Why would I want to cover that up? So I personally don't like cases. So in terms of prices, I'm the wrong person to ask because I don't follow the prices, and I wouldn't buy one anyway. Should I get a carrier refurbished Nexus S for $200 or a Lumia Nexus S for $200? No way. The Nexus, do you mean like full retail or on contract? Because on contract, you could get the Nexus S for free. I would go with the Lumia 710. I mean, unless you don't like Windows Phone. If you prefer Android, then obviously, go with the Android. But just in terms of price, I don't think I would pay $200 for the Nexus S. You might as well, pay a couple $100 more for a brand new Android phone. Sydney, could you add the Droid Razr Max to the poll? No, it has to be an AT&T device. Full retail? Yeah, the Nexus S is still a good phone. I just don't know if I would pay $200 for it. Yeah, I think that would be a tough decision. I just don't think I would do that. Titan 2 or Lumia 900? Tough choice. I mean, personally, I'm really excited about the Lumia 900 just because I like Nokia's hardware. I mean, obviously HTC has great hardware as well, but I just prefer the look of the Lumia 900. I think also the display, to me, is more impressive in terms of the display technology with the clear black technology. And then you have the advantage also of Nokia Drive and Nokia Maps, which will give you turn-by-turn navigation, which you don't really have in Windows Phone. So for those reasons, I think the Lumia 900 is better. Really, the Titan 2 has a larger display and that 16 megapixel camera, but other than that, I think the Lumia 900 would win. I don't have a question this week. Okay. Let me see if I've missed any questions on Facebook. Okay, how would you... Wow, there's a lot of questions about Windows Phone today. That's odd. Okay, how would you rank the Windows Phone marketplace compared to the Android App Store compared to the Apple App Store? Well, obviously in terms of numbers, it's easy. There's over 600,000 apps, I think, in the Apple App Store, over 500,000 apps in the Android App Store, and there's about 60,000 apps in the Windows Phone marketplace. So obviously you're going to get tons more apps with Android or iOS. In terms of quality, I mean, I think it's about the same. I like the fact that Windows Phone apps, they all have the same Metro UI. So, with Android or iOS, they may look different or have a different UI or a different design, whereas, even third-party apps, all of them, have a Metro UI, except for, like, games, obviously, because it's a game. But if that's important to you, I happen to like it. In terms of, like, quality, though, I mean, there's crappy apps in the Windows Phone marketplace. There's, crappy apps in Android market or, the Apple App Store. So in that sense, I haven't found there to be more bad apps in the Windows Phone marketplace. I mean, whenever I look for an app, if I'm looking for a specific one, I've always been able to find one. It's always a high quality app, so I don't have any complaints about that. Basically, what I say about the app selection of Windows Phone compared to Android and iOS. With Android and iOS, if you're looking for a specific app, you're probably going to find several options, if not just dozens of options. I mean, I mentioned, maybe it was last week, a digital clock widget alone, there's probably 100 or more options. And that's the same of any other app you're looking for, dozens of options. With Windows Phone, you have, maybe a dozen options, maybe less, depending on, how specialized the app is. But you're always going to find one that's high quality. So you won't have as many options, but there's always going to be at least a few that are high quality. So that's the way I would explain it. But still, in terms of selection, yeah, I mean, Android and iOS, definitely, they have the best selection. Okay, let me go back to Ustream. Okay. When do iPhones usually come out? Do you think the new iPhone will be super revolutionary and different so it can actually hold a candle to the Android? Usually, I mean, in times past, the iPhone came out in the summer. That was, ever since the first one back in 2007, that was always when we saw it. However, we all know that the iPhone 4S wasn't announced until late last year. And so... we're not entirely sure if the iPhone 5, or whatever it's going to be called, if it will be announced in the summer like the other ones were, or if Apple is going to stay with this fall schedule and just announce it in, September, October, November. So we're not entirely sure, but, that's what I can tell you, at least from what I know. Do I think it will be super revolutionary? Yeah, I mean, we're hearing that it will have a completely new design and updated specs. So yeah, I would guess so. Hey Sydney, want a latte? I would love to have a latte, actually. What phone do you currently have? I actually use two phones on a regular basis. I have a Windows Phone device and I have an Android phone. I just find that, sometimes I miss Android. Or, I just want to switch it up a little bit, so I kind of go back and forth. But I mean, the Windows Phone device is the one that I use the most, but I do carry the Android phone with me, just because, I like to keep things interesting. Can I unlock the Droid? No, you can't. The Droid Razr Max to operate with T-Mobile? No. Droid Razr Max is a CDMA phone, and T-Mobile is a GSM carrier. I don't think you can do that. Sydney, when are you going to do another interactive session? I'm not sure what you're talking about. 6 o'clock already. I have 4:59, so we still have a minute. So I'll get to... Oh, and now it's 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. Let me get one more question. Sydney, are the BlackBerries we have now going to get BlackBerry 10? I'm not sure. I wish I could answer that, but I really don't know. There's probably a greater chance that the newest phones, like the Bold 9900, the new Torch, probably not the Curve. There's a bigger chance that they will get BlackBerry 10, but even then, I kind of doubt it. Just because it's such a radical change from BlackBerry 7, I would be surprised. But at the same time, I guess I wouldn't be surprised because they're still new phones. So, but honestly, I just don't know. So that's it. That's all we have time for. Thank you guys for coming. I hope you enjoyed it. I will be back here again next Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll have some more great topics to talk about. And I'm sorry if I missed your question. You can follow me on Twitter or just send me a message. My screen name is phonedog_Sydney. And I guess that's it. I will see you guys next week. Where is the thing that I'm looking for? There it is. Okay. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.